Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. So remember, one of the best ways to improve your chess is to find chess puzzles that are not too difficult, because if you make them harder, it's more about chess calculation, which is also important. But first you want to start with basics. Find easy chess tactics puzzles that have patterns that you'll see in your own games, and you want to go over them not once and then forget about them, but go over them multiple times. After about 7 times through a set of puzzles, they'll start to burn into your long-term memory better, and you'll be able to recognize them more easily in your own games, helping you with offense and defense. So today we have discovered attack patterns. So these problems should all be rated 500 to 1500. So beginner into intermediate problems, but they shouldn't be too difficult, hopefully. And what just happened here? It looks like white has moved a king over to here, 1 square towards the center. So we're looking for discovered attack patterns. All right. Well, when you're solving chess puzzles and tactics, you want to look for things that are dealing with checks, captures, and threats. In that order. Checks are some of the most forcing moves, and this will help you figure things out in your games and in these puzzles as well. So the first thing to look at, it's black's turn to move. Pause the video at any time if you need to. So where are the checks? Well, the queen could move here, but it could be captured. Queen could move here, but rook or king could capture. So those moves don't look too appealing. What other checks do we have? Well, maybe this rook could move over, delivering a check. So that's an option. All right. So you want to look at the checks and see if there's a follow-up after the checks. Now here we're looking for discovered attacks. Now that involves one piece blocking another, and then when the blocking piece moves out of the way, there's a discovered attack by the piece behind it. And so you want to look at pieces that are lined up on each other, and that'll give you a clue here. The queens are lined up on each other, but this bishop is in the way. But there's not much this bishop can do at the moment. If the bishop just captures this pawn, or moves anywhere, then white's queen would just capture black's queen. So maybe we need to get that king to move somewhere where the bishop can attack. All right. Well, that's where the checks come into play. So we're going to move the rook over here, and then attacking the king will be forced to move. The queen is covering this square, so the king would be forced to move back here to a dark square, allowing us to set up the discovered attack here. So, all right, that's a lot of arrows flying over the board. Another thing that's important when you're solving puzzles, see if you can do the whole puzzle in your head before you start moving pieces around. All right, here we go. Check and the discovered attack here. So the rook captures and we grab the queen. Okay, that was a little harder on this scale of 500 to 1500 rated problems. That was 1470. So hopefully we'll have some easy ones mixed in here. Okay, the queen has retreated back here to b3. What is that doing? Any threat? No, maybe it's a defensive move protecting this pawn, which is attacked by the queen. All right, but we're looking for discovered attacks. Okay. Well, that usually means you want to find things that are lined up on each other. So what is lined up on what? Look for checks first. Are there any kind of checking moves? This knight could check. What does it uncover? It uncovers a discovered attack on this pawn, which is protected. You want to give up a pawn, or excuse me, a knight for a pawn? Probably not. So that check doesn't look like it does much. Any other checks? That appears to be it. So then you want to look at captures. Are there any free pieces sitting around unprotected? This bishop, but it doesn't look like there's any way we can get to it. Any unprotected pawns? No. So threats. So that means we have to set up some kind of threat. All right. It's a discovered attack that we're looking for. So nothing's really lined up on the king. How about the queen? Well, that will help you figure out that, oh, this bishop is lined up on the queen. The pawn is in the way. So maybe we can move the pawn and we'll be attacking this bishop and have a discovered attack on the queen. So hopefully you found that. All right, here we go. And now we can just pick off the bishop, but first we have to deal with this. So always look and ask yourself, why did your opponent make this move? Well, he wanted to get the queen to safety, but it's attacking our unprotected queen. So now we can just capture, and then we can go after the bishop here. All right, on to the next problem. I'll try and do 10 or 20, depending how fast or slow these problems go. And let me know in comments if you want me to speed these up a little bit. Am I talking too much? Too many arrows being thrown all over the board? All right. Rook is just moved. What can we do? Well, all right. We want to look for unprotected pieces. We want to look for checks first, then captures and threats. Captures can involve unprotected pieces. So anytime there are unprotected pieces on the board, take a good hard look at those. The bishop's unprotected, but the queen is unprotected. And since we're looking for a discovered attack, our queen is lined up on their queen with a bishop in the middle. So that's a hint. Hopefully you can figure this out. We're going to move the bishop with a check and have a discovered attack on the queen. And then we can pick this queen off for free. All right, on to the next problem. Queen has just moved here, attacking a pawn, which our queen is defending, but more importantly, their queen is attacking our queen. All right. Well, what can we do here? All right, a little combination here, so hopefully you can figure this out. Do we have any checks? You want to look at those first. Well, our queen could go along this back rank here or here delivering checks, but the king could just capture. Another possibility is capturing the queen with a check. So maybe that's something to look at. How do you follow that up? If the queen captures, the king will recapture. Well, then the discovered attack comes into play. So hopefully you'll be able to find this. And remember to pause the video. You can do that at the beginning of the puzzle if you want to figure it out before I start talking. Then we're going to go, then we're going to go here with the discovered attack on this unprotected piece. So once again, keep an eye out for those unprotected pieces. Here we go. Capture, recapture, check, and the discovered attack and capture. So we're ahead by a bishop here. All right, on to the next one. We have a rook pinning this pawn to our rook. Okay. But is that a blunder? It appears so. A blunder move. Why is that a blunder? See if you can figure that out. All right, we're looking for discovered attacks, and that involves pieces lined up on each other, and the pawn is in the middle, so hopefully that helps you solve it. We're going to move this pawn with a check and then capture the rook. Here we go. And now we're just ahead by this rook. All right, on to the next problem. Rook is attacking rook here. Okay. What do we have available to us in this position? Okay. Well, want to look for those checks first. If the rooks try and check the king, this pawn could capture. All right, all right. Well, look at other checks. One that could easily be overlooked is this pawn check, but does that do anything? Do we have a good follow-up afterwards? The king would be forced, because the rooks are covering all these squares, the king would be forced to move here. And then what do we do? Oh, then we have a discovered attack that is a check, a discovered check. Once the king is here, we can move our king here, covering this escape square and delivering a mate with our bishop. So try and figure that out in your head. Hopefully you have already. So let's go here. All right. Check and checkmate here with the discovered check and mate. All right, next problem. Oh, we just had a capture here. So what do we do? All right. Oh, it looks like, well, pause the video if you need more time, but we're looking for a discovered attack. And that involves pieces lined up on one another, even with something in between. And sometimes there could be more than one piece in between two opposing pieces. And you might think everything's safe until those pieces start moving out of the way. Well, we have this check. You always want to look for the checks first. A check, and then the rook has a discovered attack here that looks like it will lead to a mate. All right, here we go. Check, and it does not lead to a mate because of that pawn capture. And that does give us time because we have to watch out for a back rank mate here. So we're pretty much forced to capture, but now we're just ahead in material with this extra rook. All right, here we go. Problem number 8. King has moved up here attacking our knight with the help of this rook, but that can lead to a discovered attack because our rook is lined up on the king. But we want to see where it will be best to move this knight. If we just go here, the king can just move out of check, but then what is our knight going to do? So maybe we have to go here, and then we'll be attacking their unprotected knight. So look for those unprotected pieces. All right, here we go. And now we can just pick that off. We're ahead in material. All right, on to the next one. What discovered attack do we have here? Oh, okay. This is one that we have to set up with a move before the discovered attack. So see if you can figure this out. Pause the video if you need more time. If not, here we go. So we can snatch up this knight, which is protected by the queen. So the queen recaptures. And if the queen does recapture, well then we can jump our knight up here with check and have a discovered attack on the queen and be able to pick that queen off. All right. Now, one thing you might want to do if you have time and you're not playing like a speed game, blitz or whatever, is just double check. If we go here, are there any surprising moves that they could play, and ignore our threat? I don't see anything because we would just be ahead in material there once we gain that knight. All right, that looks best. So capture and then check. We grab the queen here. All right, on to problem number 10. Oh, a capture in the center by the queen. Our knight is under attack. So what do we do next here? We're looking for a discovered attack. Oh, okay. You want to look for those unprotected pieces or a more powerful piece that is being lined up on by a less powerful piece. So our rook is lined up on their queen now. The bishop is in between. Where will be best to move the piece that's in between here? So are there any checks? Always look for the checks first. Well, it looks like we can go there, checking the king and picking up the queen. So here we go. And we grab that queen. All right. I'll try and do 10 more problems. Let me keep these moving along. That way you get a nice set of 20 problems to go through. Okay, rook is centralized here, lining up on our queen. There are pieces in between here. All right. What do we have? Well, we have a queen and bishop. Our bishop's lined up on the queen. If our pawn moves, that's a possibility. But, once our pawn moves, it's not attacking anything. All right. So we got a tricky one here. Okay, well, look for checks. Do we have any checks? I don't see any checking possibilities. So no checks. Any captures? Well, we could capture the bishop, but it's protected by the queen. Okay, if we did that, do we have anything to follow up? Doesn't look like that would get us anywhere. So, do we just immediately attack the queen? We go here. Bishop is attacking the queen. Our queen would have to move. Where would be best? Maybe the queen just moves over here. And then what? Do we jump forward and attack the queen? The bishop could capture. All right. This one's turning out to be a tough one. Maybe we want to push here. Attack. The bishop could just retreat, I guess. So, I don't know. It looks like we should push this. Push this pawn. Attack the queen. The queen would probably go here. Then we have a battery aiming at our bishop, and only our queen is protecting. So we'd probably be forced to capture. Their queen would recapture. But then what? Huh. I'm just not seeing much here. All right, well, we need to keep this moving. So do I bring the knight up here first? If the bishop captures, we just capture. I just don't really see much happening here. Do we take this? Do we create a battery? All right, I don't know. We'll go there. And that's what they wanted. And they played the move I thought they would. But what is best here? Huh. If we take their bishop, the queen ends up here. We could go here with our queen. So, capture, queen recaptures. We can attack the queen with our knight. That's a possibility. We could bring our queen up here and threaten a mate, but they can just block that with the pawn, I guess. So now I'm not sure how to follow up. Nope, they don't want that move. Okay. Do we attack the queen? Like that? Okay. Huh. Oh, then I guess we just take the queen. All right, well, that was a little bit of a tricky one. Okay. Hopefully you did better on that one than I did. On to the next one. Queen is captured here. What do we have? Where is our discovered attack at? Okay, a simple one. The queens are lined up on one another. The knight is in between, and we have a check. So we can go here with check and then pick off the queen. All right. So here we go. On to the next one. Bishops are confronting one another. Do we have a discovered attack? Yes, it appears so. So you want to look at pieces lined up on one another when you're looking for discovered attacks. And in chess in general, when pieces are lined up on one another, there might be possibilities there. I don't see any checks, but we can capture something with our bishop. And then it gets the bishop out of the way of this pawn. And then we can have a discovered attack on the queen. And our pawn will be attacking one of these pieces here. All right, here we go. Should we capture the knight first? Is that better? If we capture the knight, it'll wreck his pawns. Well, either way, I don't know if it matters. We captured the bishop. I don't know if it matters here. I'm going to say we go after... they want us to go after the knight. Why does that even matter? That wrecks his pawns, I guess. Huh. All right. I don't know if that made too much of a difference, which one of those pieces you captured first. Or maybe it did, because if we go here, well, they would capture with their pawn. Anyway, on to the next one. Oh, wait, let's see. So they wanted that. and then we snatch that, and then he'll recapture. All right, let's finish this out. Okay, right away we have the queen and rook lined up on one another. But what can we do with that in the meantime? Well, we could pick off a knight, but then the queen could recapture. Oh, and if the queen recaptures, we grab this knight. Okay. All right, we go ahead there. Oh, wait. Well, yeah, and they can't capture this because then we'll capture the rook here. Interesting stuff going on in that one. All right, on to the next one. King is castled. What do we do here? Okay, let's take a look. What is lined up on what? What checks do we have? Excuse me. Okay. All right, and what unprotected pieces? That is very important. That can determine a lot. We have an unprotected queen, and the queens are lined up, and hopefully you saw the check here. So that is our plan. Check and grab the queen. On to the next one. Okay, pawn is captured here. Any checks? Any checks? I don't see any checks on the black king. Pieces lined up on one another. Well, this comes to mind, up through here. So if we move this pawn, we'll be attacking a bishop. But then they could capture, we capture, here. All right, so pawn attacks. They could capture our bishop. We capture their bishop. Their queen would have to take, and then we get their bishop down here. So we just go ahead and material like that. All right, here we go. Because now we have a greater threat here. And that gives us time to capture. All right, we have 4 more problems. Let's finish these up. Oh, they are creating a battery here and lining up, maybe with bishop and queen, threatening to trade both rooks for the queen. But it is our turn. So what can black do here? Look for those checks and the pieces lined up on one another, and hopefully you'll find the answer. All right. Pause the video if you need more time, as always. If not, here we go. We're going to deliver a check and have a discovered attack on the queen. So here we go. All right. 3 more problems. Rook is lining up on this pinned knight. What do we have, though? Okay. Well, look for checks and pieces lined up on each other. What checks do we have? The only one I see is this knight. And then the queen is lined up on the bishop. So, maybe that's the way we need to go. Jump the knight up with check. They can capture. Our queen can recapture. And then we'll have pressure on this pawn. We'll also be attacking. Well, how do you follow it up? And what does material look like? You want to check the material balance as well. We have 7 pawns versus 6. And they have the bishop pair. But, I don't know, that looks to be the way to go. Jump the knight up, delivering a check. They would capture, our queen captures. Then they would try to protect this pawn, maybe. All right, that's what we're doing. Let me grab this. And they're not going any further. Even though that was, an even trade there, we do still have one pawn. We're ahead by one pawn. And we're putting pressure on this, so they would probably have to have a rook come over and help protect this. All right, anyway, let's finish the last two problems out. Queen is centralized, pinning our bishop to our queen. Well, not really. Our queen's protected by this rook. So what do we have? Okay. Well, look for checks. Look for pieces lined up on one another. We don't have any checks. We do have queens lined up on one another with the bishop in between. So we have to figure out where would be best to move this bishop. Well, we can line up on the king. So maybe move the bishop here, lining up on queen and king, and a discovered attack as well, which would prevent the queen from capturing our queen. All right, try to solve that in your head if you haven't already. Here we go. All right, and they give up their queen, we just capture. We're ahead in material. Okay, the final problem. Here we go. The knight is launched forward here, attacking our bishop. We could just pick that knight off with our other bishop, but we're looking for discovered attacks here. So, we have a queen lined up on the king, but there's a pawn in between. We could get rid of that. So that should be the hint right there. All right. There's no immediate checks, but we have the queen lined up here. So hopefully you can figure this out with that hint. All right. Here we go. We're going to capture the knight. If they want to keep material even, they will have to recapture. That opens up our queen on the king after we push this pawn forward, discovering a check and attacking this bishop at the same time. All right, here we go. Capture and discovered check, allowing us to pick off their bishop. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed these discovered attack puzzles for today. As always, feel free to leave any comments. Please like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.